How to make your enemies fear you without raising your voice, making threats, or even saying a word. Real power doesn't make noise. It's a silent force that makes others hesitate, second guess, and fear what they can't predict. It's like standing face to face with a wild predator. It doesn't growl, it doesn't charge. It simply watches, cold and calculating. And that silence is more terrifying than any roar. Or imagine a chess grandmaster staring at the board while his opponent sweats, mind racing to anticipate the next move, but seeing nothing. That is the power of being unpredictable. When people can't read you, they fear what you might do. In this video, we'll break down 7 silent strategies from Stoic philosophy to create an unshakable presence. Master these, and your enemies won't just respect you, they'll fear the unknown moves you're about to make. Let's get started. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. Let's talk about one of the most powerful ways to seize control and make your enemies fear you: mastering your emotions. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things to achieve. When someone tries to provoke you, the natural reaction is anger, frustration, or defensiveness. But here's the truth. Showing anger or frustration is a sign of weakness. When you let your emotions run the show, you hand your enemy the power to unbalance you. They win the moment they see you lose control. Real power lies in the ability to stay calm no matter what they throw at you. Nothing unsettles an enemy more than someone they can't provoke. When they push your buttons and you stay calm, it forces them to question themselves. They don't know how to handle someone who doesn't rise to the bait, who can't be easily manipulated. Your emotional control becomes a weapon. Your calm becomes the thing they fear most. This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Think about that. Strength doesn't come from shouting or violent reactions. It comes from standing calm under pressure, staying unmoved while chaos rages around you. The ability to maintain inner peace when provoked is the ultimate power. Let me tell you a story. A man I know, let's call him Thomas, used to work with someone who constantly tried to provoke him. They would belittle him, mock him, bait him into arguments. At first, Thomas would react, trying to defend himself. But he quickly realized that every time he reacted, his opponent gained the upper hand. So Thomas made a decision. He wouldn't be dragged into it anymore. The next time he was provoked, he stayed absolutely calm. No arguing, no defending, just steady silence. The result? His opponent grew frustrated. They couldn't get the reaction they wanted. Eventually, they stopped trying. Because provoking someone who refuses to lose control is a losing game. So, how do you master your emotions? First, identify what triggers you and why. Once you know the battlefield, you can control your reactions. Second, practice deep breathing or mindfulness under pressure. Train yourself not to snap when it matters most. Third, understand that emotional control is power, not weakness. When emotions no longer dictate your actions, you always hold the advantage. In the end, real strength isn't found in shouting louder or burning hotter. It's found in mastering yourself. When you stay calm and composed, no one can truly hurt you. In a chaotic world, calmness is what makes you invincible. Let's talk about the power of maintaining an unshakable presence. There's a kind of confidence that draws attention and commands respect, but it's not the loud, flashy kind that constantly seeks validation. It's a silent, powerful confidence, the kind that doesn't need a single word to make an impact. When you walk into a room with that kind of presence, people notice. You don't have to say anything, they just know you're someone who deserves respect. True presence is built on real confidence, not arrogance. Confidence without arrogance is far more intimidating than any boastful display. When you know your own worth, you don't need to prove anything. You simply exist. And everything about you, from your energy to your posture and gestures, radiates strength, calm, and a clear sense of purpose. You claim your space in the world without asking for permission. You move deliberately, you stand tall, and people naturally pay attention because they can feel you don't need their approval. Your presence speaks for itself. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Lao Tzu said, "Silence is a source of great strength," and that truth cuts deep. Often it's not what you say or do that matters most, but the silent force you project simply by being fully in control of yourself. Silence isn't weakness, it's proof of mastery. It shows you are certain of who you are and what you stand for. You don't need noise to fill the space, you are the anchor in the room. The man who can control an entire room without raising his voice is the one everyone respects. Not out of fear, but out of a deep, instinctive recognition of strength. I'll give you an example. A man I know, let's call him Ethan, wasn't the loudest person at any gathering. He never tried to be the center of attention, but there was something undeniable about him. Ethan stood tall, moved with calm certainty, and never looked like he was trying to impress anyone. When he entered a conversation, people naturally lowered their voices and paid attention, not because he demanded it, but because they sensed the weight of his self-assurance. He didn't need to raise his voice to be heard. He existed with total confidence, and that was enough. So how do you build and hold this unshakable presence? First, stand tall. Your posture affects how the world reads you. Shoulders back, chin up, no slouching. Second, move with intention. Every action, every step should show you are in control of yourself. Third, embrace silence. You don't need to fill the air with words to be seen or heard. When you move with purpose, when you occupy space unapologetically, when you let your presence, not your words, do the work, people will notice, and they will respect you. Real power doesn't come from noise, dominance, or flash. It comes from silent confidence, the kind that others can't ignore and can't quite understand. Walk into every room with an unshakable presence, and the world will adjust to you. Let's talk about something most people overlook: letting your actions speak louder than anything else. In a world filled with empty promises and meaningless declarations, it's easy to get caught up in talking about what you're going to do or all the big plans you have. Everyone has ideas and ambitions, but the truth is, talk is cheap. What matters is not what you say, but what you do. Your power, your value, and your dignity are revealed through action, not through empty words. The best way to show who you are is to live your values every single day instead of talking about them. When you focus on action, you don't need to explain anything. Your discipline, persistence, and commitment to excellence become obvious. Actions don't beg for recognition, they are recognition. When you stay consistent and let your focus do the talking, the world notices. People see the results, not the excuses, not the promises. Stoic philosophy understood this perfectly. Stoics believed that action always mattered more than speech. They knew that real character is built through discipline and persistence. The more you act, the clearer your true worth becomes. Words can be twisted, actions cannot. Actions are irrefutable proof. Let me tell you a story. I know a man. Let's call him Jack. Jack was always talking about his big dreams. He told everyone about his plans and ambitions for the future, but for months, he did nothing. Over time, people stopped taking him seriously because they were tired of hearing empty promises. Jack realized this and made a decision. He stopped talking and started doing. He acted every day, quietly and relentlessly, and soon people started paying attention. His success came not because of what he said, but because his actions roared louder than his words ever could. So how do you let your actions speak for you? First, focus on persistence. Show up every day. Second, always give your best effort. Third, build resilience. Learn to push through setbacks without making excuses. In the end, what you do will always matter more than what you say. Take action, stay silent, and let the results speak louder than anything else. Not everyone has the patience to watch until the end, but those who do are always the ones who go further than the rest. If you're one of them, subscribe and like, we're on the same team. Let's talk about one of the most powerful tools for emotional control and self-respect: never overreacting to insults. When someone insults you, the natural reaction is to defend yourself, fire back, or try to prove the insult wrong. But here's the truth. The moment you react emotionally, you hand your power over to them. Every time you get angry or upset, you reveal your weaknesses, and they learn exactly where to hit you next time. The secret is this: indifference is one of the most devastating responses you can give. When you don't overreact, when you show no emotional response to an insult, you take back control. Your indifference forces the other person to question their own importance. They don't understand why their words have no effect, why they can't make you lose your composure. In that moment, you win. You rip away their ability to control your emotions and leave them powerless. The calmer you stay, the more you show them that their opinion means nothing to you. And the best part is, the more they realize they can't get a rise out of you, the more frustrated they become. This is where Stoic philosophy plays a crucial role. The Stoics teach us that our emotional state is under our own control, not under the influence of others. Epictetus believed that the opinions and actions of other people are completely outside our control, and that emotional reactions only destroy our inner peace. What matters isn't what happens, it's how you choose to respond. Let me tell you a story. A woman I know, let's call her Linda, was often insulted by a coworker. This person would throw out passive-aggressive comments, try to undermine her in meetings, even gossip behind her back. At first, Linda reacted emotionally, defending herself, getting angry, trying to set the record straight. But every time she reacted, things got worse. Eventually, Linda realized something critical. Every time she reacted, she handed over her power. So she decided to change her strategy. The next time her coworker tried to provoke her, Linda stayed calm and indifferent. She didn't argue, didn't get angry, didn't even acknowledge the insult. And what happened? Her coworkers slowly stopped trying. Linda's calm made them question themselves, not her. So how do you stop overreacting to insults? First, practice self-awareness. When someone insults you, pause, breathe, and assess the situation. Second, control your emotional reaction. The moment you let someone make you angry, you surrender control. Finally, embrace indifference. Not every insult deserves a response. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful reply you can give. In the end, true strength lies in your ability to stay calm in the face of insult. Don't let other people's words dictate your emotions. React with indifference, and watch how fast they lose their power. Let's talk about one of the most effective strategies for protecting yourself and maintaining control over your life: controlling what others know about you. In a world where people are constantly observing, analyzing, and trying to figure you out, it's dangerously easy to reveal too much. Whether it's your weaknesses, your goals, or your insecurities, the more predictable you are, the easier it is for others to manipulate you. The key is to maintain an air of mystery and to control the information people can access. When others can't predict your moves, they lose the ability to manipulate or undermine you. If people know exactly how you will react, where your soft spots are, they will exploit that knowledge. But when you control what others know, you make it much harder for them to take advantage of you. This doesn't mean you have to lie or be fake. It simply means you don't owe everyone full access to your thoughts, emotions, or plans. Holding a few things back protects you more than you realize. This is also where Stoic wisdom plays a critical role. Sun Tzu once said, "Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak." If you are always open and transparent, you unintentionally expose areas where others can attack. But when you keep part of your thoughts and strategies to yourself, you become much harder to exploit. By becoming unpredictable, you discourage anyone who would seek to manipulate or take advantage of you. A man I know, let's call him Chris, used to be completely open about his personal life, goals, and struggles with his colleagues. He believed transparency would build trust, but he quickly learned the hard way. His openness made him vulnerable. People started using the information he shared against him. Realizing his mistake, Chris changed his approach. He stopped oversharing, he kept his plans and personal matters private, and almost immediately, people could no longer predict his moves, making him much harder to manipulate. So how do you control what others know about you? First, think carefully before sharing personal information. Not everyone needs to know your deeper thoughts or insecurities. Second, cultivate a bit of mystery. The harder you are to read, the harder you are to use. Protect your inner world, and you protect your power. Let's talk about one of the most powerful strategies for protecting your success: acting in silence. In a world where everyone wants to loudly announce their goals and grand plans, we often forget that silence is one of the strongest weapons we have. When you broadcast your ambitions, you invite opinions, judgments, and unnecessary interference from others. They may offer unwanted advice, cast doubts on your ability, or unintentionally hinder your progress. But when you keep your ambitions to yourself, you take away their power to influence your path. You become an unstoppable force because no one knows what you're building until the results are undeniable. The quieter you move, the further you go without distractions or sabotage. Stoic philosophy emphasizes this truth. When you make powerful moves in silence, your results speak for themselves. You don't need to explain yourself or keep announcing what's coming. You simply act and let the world witness the outcome. Let me share a story. A woman I know, let's call her Emma, used to openly share her goals and plans with friends and coworkers. At first, she felt excited by their attention, but over time she realized the more she talked, the more obstacles appeared. People began offering unsolicited advice, expressing doubts, and unintentionally draining her confidence. Eventually, Emma changed her approach. She stopped talking about her plans and started acting in silence. As she quietly put in the work, her results became impossible to ignore. People stopped judging her promises. They started respecting her achievements. So how do you act in silence? First, stop sharing your plans unless absolutely necessary. Second, focus all your energy on action, not words. Finally, let your results be your proof. When you no longer feel the need to explain or announce, people will begin to recognize your true value. True power doesn't come from grand declarations or flashy announcements. It comes from silent action and the undeniable results you create. Move quietly and let your success make the noise. Let's talk about the final, and perhaps most important, strategy. Living as yourself without regret or apology. In a world where everyone is scrambling to be accepted by others, daring to live true to yourself is one of the most terrifying and powerful things you can do. When you stop trying to fit into other people's expectations, you unlock a level of freedom and power that few can even imagine. The truth is, when you no longer seek to blend in, you become untouchable. You live with authenticity, free from the constant fear of what others might think. You don't need validation. You don't need to impress anyone. And that by itself makes you stand out in a world full of copies. The people who truly matter will value your uniqueness. When you stop chasing approval, you start living by your own internal values. And that creates a kind of unshakable freedom from within. Let me tell you a story. A man I know, let's call him Jake, used to constantly adjust himself to fit in. He would change his behavior, laugh at jokes he didn't find funny, and downplay his achievements just to avoid standing out. Over time, Jake felt exhausted and disconnected from himself. Finally, he decided he no longer cared about outside validation. He chose to live authentically, true to his own feelings and values. And something incredible happened. When Jake stopped seeking approval, people respected him more. They recognized his strength, the rare strength of a man who isn't afraid to live as his true self. So how do you live as yourself without regret? First, stop seeking approval. You don't need anyone's permission to live your life your way. Second, embrace and amplify the things that make you different. Those are your greatest strengths. Finally, live by your own standards, not the standards of others. When you live truthfully, your life becomes a reflection of who you really are, and nothing can stop you. In the end, real strength doesn't come from trying to be liked or accepted. It comes from standing firmly in your true self without fear. Don't blend in, be yourself, and the world will be forced to respect you. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.